Hey there, fellow coders and aspiring programmers. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm thrilled to have you join me today for an exciting coding adventure. In this video, we're diving into the fascinating world of C programming as we embark on a journey to build a banking application from scratch. Yes, you heard that right, a banking application. Get ready to witness some mind-blowing coding skills as we unleash the power of C to create a bank app together. We would explore the different concepts from beginner to intermediate, as well as best practices in industry in this bank application. Throughout this video, we'll be taking a step-by-step approach, breaking down complex problems into small sizes, so that even if you're a beginner and you've never done anything in C programming before, you will not get lost at all. And if you're an intermediate developer or someone looking to enhance your skill, then pay attention as we delve into the world of version control with Git and GitHub, because I will show you how we can collaborate effectively and manage our code base like a pro with GitHub, all in this tutorial. So whether you're just starting your coding journey or you're looking to enhance your skill, this is the perfect video for you as we journey into the world of C by building a banking application system. Get ready guys, because it's about to go down now. So hit on this subscribe button, subscribe to this YouTube channel so that you never miss an update on this series of videos. It's Bright Daniel from Bwave ICT, and I'm saying welcome. It's a full-packed program today as we build this C programming bank application. Yes, with Bwave we're going to do this. What's the content? What are we going to be doing and how are we going to be doing this? Well, worry no further because I have the content here for you. So we are going to do 4 major things today and building our bank application. And one will be creating our GitHub repository, writing our thought process, writing our codes, and pushing back to GitHub. Now, not just in this app are you going to be doing this, but throughout your coding journey in every project you handle, you want to take out these 4 steps because that's what really makes you a software developer. Each of these steps, I'll explain why we need to do them and how we can go about them. What would we be covering today? Some of the topics that we're going to cover in this bank application include functions, arrays, pointers, conditionals, and loops in C programming. Also, we are going to explore Git and GitHub extensively, and I'm going to show you the best way how to use GitHub like a pro. It's not enough to use GitHub, you have to be using GitHub like a pro. We're going to cover all these today. And so without wasting any much time, let's go ahead and start with the first thing for today, creating our GitHub repository. We move over now to GitHub. So here I'm on GitHub already, and we are just going to go ahead to create a new repository. You want to do that for every of your projects, create new repositories. So here I'm just going to click on this new by this side, and we are going to just call this something very simple. Basically, we're building a bank application, so let's call this my bank. My bank is available. Now there's description here, and we are going to come back to this in a minute. But for now, let's leave this. We have our add readme.md. I'm going to click on this. I'm just going to click on it. So once I create the repo, we're going to have a readme directly. Then I'm going to click on create repository. And so far, I have my repo already. Now you can see the readme.md file, and the first thing we have there is my bank. Now we have an about. So where most times when people create repositories, they ignore this about and the readme.md file. But it's very, very important that you put your readme.md file, because that's where we are going to be able to relate with what you're doing. That's where people can understand what exactly you want to do and follow you as you go ahead to do that. So always remember to include your README, to give a detailed description of your readme.md file. We're going to be doing that. So I'm just going to click on this pencil icon here to be able to edit my readme.md file. And from the readme.md file, we can now start typing things. You can make words big, like headers, like headings. H1, H2 is known as markup. So you can do some kind of styling. For example, if I hit this, is going to be bold, big, just as you can see it here. We can go ahead and do a more description of what we have here so far. Already I've done this before, so I'm just going to bring it back. But I want to show you something else. We can drag photos from our system. So we can just drag photos in here and attach them to our readme.md file. By just dragging and dropping the photos here, you can see that we already have a photo that's been added. And then we can go ahead and do plenty of the detailed description. So let me go ahead and do the detailed description now. All right. So if you look at your screens now, I've just put in my detailed description of this repository, but I want to show you some things. Now, you can have author to this repository. So this is going to be an heading, and that's why you have the two hash signs here, author. And you can see my bank is developer and maintained by. So here you can put your name, Bwave ICT, using this format as it is on the screen now. And then you can put the link to your GitHub repository. It means that if someone clicks on your name, it will automatically link them to your GitHub repository. So if we commit changes, let's see what we have. I'm just going to leave it update readme.md here and commit changes directly to the main branch. What we have as a detailed readme.md file now is this. So you can see how detailed this is. You can see a drag and drop an image here applying. Now we have prerequisites. Prerequisites means if someone is on this repository and he wants to know what he needs in order to code along with us, that's a prerequisite. So compile and run my bank, the only thing the person needs is GCC and of course an IDE. Well, if you're on GitHub and you want to code, I'm sure you already have an IDE, so I didn't add that. Then getting started. So here is how you can get started here. You don't need to make it difficult. So from the readme.md file, someone already knows. You just come here, copy it, and you can clone it to your computer. And then how to compile, you can already see it here. How to run the executable to get the results. How to use. Now, for this usage, we'll talk about how we can use this program. So it's something you should do for your project. Don't leave people wondering how they use it. Explain it in the readme.md file. Now we are going to have a menu on in our code, and we are going to be able to transfer money, deposit money, check balance, and quit the program. So our code is going to focus on four things basically: transfer, deposit, checking balance. And now for one else, we would have a receipt after each transaction, and that receipt will be saved in a new file called receipt.txt. And it contains details such as the transaction type, account name, account number, bank name, transaction amount, previous balance, current balance, and the date and time of the transaction. Where are we getting all this info from? From the readme.md file. Why is documenting a good README important? If people are going to collaborate with you, if people are going to join you in coding, then they must know what your project is about. Readme.md file is a good way for someone to know what your project is about. So next time you're writing a code, next time you're creating a repository, pay attention to your readme.md file.
Because if you want to get recruited by any top company, they would look at your GitHub, and if your readmes are not descriptive enough, they are out. Now, you are invited to collaborate, and if you want to collaborate, you can just fork this repository, create a new branch name, and put your changes, then submit a pull request. Now, for the author, you can see that Bwave ICT is highlighted. If I click on this now to take us to our README, to Bwave ICT profile page. All right, that's it for our readme.md file. So my bank already has the GitHub repository, and that's our first step. Now, if I click on the My Bank, you can see that the About here has no description, website, or topics provided. That's very wrong. So, hey, something for you. Go back to any project you have and check if the About has a description, a website, or topics provided. If it has none, please, you want to make sure you're adding something. All right, now description. This is just going to be a short description. README is a detailed one, but this is a short description. So I'm going to just put a short description here that explains what is being done. Next up, we need to put topics. So topics is if someone wants to search for a repository on GitHub, what would the person have in mind when coming? The name of our repo is My Bank. So banking is one of the topic we want to put here. So let's say banking app. So let's say banking app. And once you put a space or a comma, it's going to show you the next topic. Now, something else we want to associate is the C programming language. All right. And maybe let's just leave it at these two topics for now and then save changes. So if someone comes to our GitHub repo now, the person is going to see that we have our about and then we have topics under it. C programming language banking app. README correct. This is one way on how you use GitHub like a pro. Hope you learned something from that. Next time you're creating a repository, make sure you're doing this. Explain the about, give us a detailed README. All right, next up, we want to go to the second one, which is writing our thought process for this. But before the thought process, let's finish with Git and GitHub. So far, our repo is on the web, but it's not on our computer. So when you throw Git and GitHub, you want to make sure that what you have on the web, you can get it down on your computers. And to do that, we are going to clone our repository. The terminal I'm going to use for this project is the Ubuntu terminal. Well, just to consolidate on the fact that this program is for absolute beginners who have no experience in coding anywhere else up until pro, I decided that I would be using the Ubuntu terminal. To be able to clone our repository, we'll need something called a personal access token. Personal access token is some kind of password of sort. So it helps it helps GitHub to know that this is your project. Personal access token is important. You know why? Because anybody can clone your repo. So for it to know that this is your work and give you authority to push it back, you need a personal access token. I'm creating the token now, and I can just like generate a new token. So let me generate a new token here, and I'm going to call this my bank token. So my bank, the expiration 30 days, that's okay. And now I'm going to click on the first one that says repo. This would help me to get full access of the repository. I'm going to leave the rest for now and just hit generate token. That's all. Once you generate your token, you want to ensure you copy it because it won't be on GitHub again. So you want to copy it and probably paste it somewhere safe. So I'm going to copy mine and put it somewhere safe. Copy yours and do the same. Next is to go to our terminal now and clone this with our personal access token that we've created and with the remainder of the bank application. So let's go and do that now. Currently, I'm on my Ubuntu terminal and it's empty. So we want to be able to clone it, and we use the command git clone, and then we put this HTTPS at, and then we are going to paste our personal access token. After our personal access token, we are now going to put at github.com/, your username, and then the name of what you're cloning. So my bank, right? .git. This is the format to do that. So git clone your personal access token and then GitHub. Something that would eventually be like this when we are done. So git clone, this would be your own personal access token if you're following with that. After the personal access token, you want to put at here and then github.com. This would also be your username, and then the name of the repo is mybank.git. So we're going to paste this down here, and it says cloning into my bank, and it's done. So once you see this, it means you're done. Now we can seed into my bank, and in my bank, you're going to see a readme.md file. If you open the readme file, you're going to basically see all those plenty readmes all those description that we did here. So we can edit our readme from here, maybe add something or remove things if we feel like. For now, I'm going to do nothing because that's it. Now, next up, creating a thought process for this application. Let's first talk about why thought process are important. Guys, great to see you. We put a lot of work into these videos to ensure that you're gaining maximally from it. And if you want to say thank you to the work we put in to ensure that you're benefiting and learning tech easily for free, then all you just have to do is hit the subscribe button, like, and share this video. Share this video on different groups, different platforms you are in. Like and subscribe to our channel to tell us thank you. We would appreciate. Why are thought process important? Well, to answer this question, let me first ask you, what's the main aim? What's the work of a fashion designer? A fashion designer, what's the work of a fashion designer? You would most likely answer a fashion designer work is to design clothes, right? To sew clothes. And if you answer that, you're very correct. But think of it this way. What's the most important thing for a fashion designer? Or what's the very first step if you go to meet a fashion designer to design your clothes? What's the very first step? The fashion designer will not just start to sew the clothes. The very first step is to ask you for your preference, your design, your pattern, your style. And then the second step after asking you for your style is to take your measurements. But if they ask, what's the work of a fashion designer? You would most likely say, and rightly say, that a fashion designer main work is to design clothes. But to be able to design clothes, a fashion designer has to first of all take your measurements. Without your measurements, without your accurate measurements, there will be no clothes to design. It's not going to fit in you, and the designer can basically do nothing without the measurements. So the most important thing for a designer is to ensure that your measurement is correct. And then after taking your measurements, they will have to now take in that big material and then cut them into smaller pieces that fit your measurements. After that, then they can now start the sewing. So you see, the sewing is actually the last part of the whole design process. So it is with software engineering. Most times when you say I'm a software engineer, what people think is, oh, you create apps, you create software solutions. And that's correct. But the most important thing before you create any solution is to first of all identify the problem. That's process of identifying the problem and listing out the steps to solve the problem, just as if you're taking out the measurements of the problem. And then when you're cutting the problem, like the designer cutting the material, it's just as if you're writing smaller steps to solve the problem. That whole process is called pseudocode. It helps you write, you think and you analyze and you give your thought process. So thought process is something very, very important for every developer. If you want to write effective codes, it all starts from the thought process. Here we go to our thought process. Already learning things from this short video. Imagine what you would learn from Bwave ICT for the period of 6 months to 1 year of extensive training and learning to work as software engineers remotely. Well, whereas at Bwave ICT, we've rolled out a fantastic program to help you learn and become a competent software engineer that would have nothing lacking in the next 6 months to 1 year with our 1 year program, which is 6 months internship and 6 months of normal learning. We would see you in class because the class is starting on June 5th, 2023. If you want to be part of it, send a message now to the link below. Send a message to our WhatsApp number and we will reply you immediately telling you how you can be part of this life-changing software engineering experience. We don't want you to miss this and you surely will not miss it. See you in class. All right, we are here now ready to start our thought process. What's the main, so as a process, let's first know what's the main work of a bank app? When you hear the word bank application, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Most likely an app for financial transactions. So you want to think of a seamless way to send and receive money. To send and receive money, right? A bank application. So you can send money via the bank seamlessly. Okay, so it means that our bank, we have to build it in such a way that it's easy to send money. So what we want to accomplish with our bank, we can put them into four major things. One, two, three, and four. So the first one would be to receive and send money. That's easily the first one. What's the second? You want to think. Now, why is thinking like this very important? If you're going to write good codes, you must do a lot of this thinking. You must start asking yourself, what do I need? Why do I need this? What's the next step? What's the other step? You must start asking those questions again and again and again and again. So our readme.md file, remember we wrote down the four things we want to accomplish with our app. So you can go back to your readme.md file now and you would see them. So we want to transfer money. I'm also going to be able to deposit money. Now, why is depositing money important? I use Shippers Cash a lot and Shippers is a fantastic way to send money. The interesting thing about Shippers is that with Shippers, I can deposit money. I can add cash. Like I just have to click one button, just name the amount I want to transfer from my bank, and it would come to my Shippers account app. So I want to also create a system mimicking that Shippers account where I can deposit money. Shippers is a very, very fantastic app, by the way. It's something you should check out. You can send money to any country. Personally, that's what I use to make transactions outside of Nigeria and then buying things from online stores that are not in Nigeria. You know the whole thing with the Nigerian dollar card and the restrictions here and there. Shippers solve that problem easily for me. And so it's something I would advise you to use, especially if you're looking to make transfers without having any charges collected. If you want to use it, look at the link below, use it, and it's very simple to set up an account. No stress at all, no charges, and then you have it. So the link is down below so that you can enjoy Shippers Cash with me. So the second thing I want to do here is deposit money. Bank applications are also good to, you know, check balance. So if you want to check your balance, and that's something I do every time. In fact, with Cheapest Cash, you don't even have to press a special code to check your balance. It's always there looking at you, like your balance is always there. So I'm also going to do that. One is transfer money. The next one would be to deposit, like I said, making the shippers account, deposit money. And then the next one should be to check balance. So want to check balance. And something that you expect the bank app to do for you is to give you a receipt of each transaction. Because if you're using a bank app to pay your bills and the people ask for receipts, you don't want to be like, oh, don't worry, you'll get the alert later. So you want to generate receipts. So our own bank is going to generate receipts. So this is what coding involves, you thinking out what exactly you want to do. So this is like us, like that fashion designer. First of all, getting the style we want to code with. After getting the style, we will now go and cut our clothes. And what's the cutting? It's like taking measurement and the cutting of the clothes. What's that for our app? It's identifying smaller solutions to be able to do these four basic things: transfer, deposit, check balance, and generate receipts. Our app is going to do that, but we need to put smaller steps so that we can do this. So, as a way of getting a smaller step, in the step one, what do we do? As a way of getting a smaller step, we are going to, well, I'll tell you after this break. Welcome back. So the very first thing we want to do is to pretty much greet the people. You know, when you open a bank application, you want to see something like welcome, something that welcomes you that you are in the right place. So we'll have a simple step to welcome people, and that would be our step one. We want to welcome people to our app. And so this welcome message is going to contain the name of our app, right? And then step two, we want to like ask people to kind of register. So we'll be implementing a registration system and a partial login system. So we want to ask people to register. Ask to register. So we could say registration. Registration. So we want to implement the registration. How are we going to do that? We'll ask people to put their username and their password. Now, after the person has put his username and password, we'll do it this way. We are going to tell the person to confirm password. So that's kind of going to be like the registration. To ensure that if the person is not serious, or maybe it's a child or even an infant coming to our app to just say, let me just test this out, and you put random characters as password, the confirm password would help to know if this person is serious, because if you cannot remember your password, then you're not ready for banking. So we want to implement registration by asking, getting username and password, and then asking them to confirm password. So the number one is just a simple welcome message. Step two is that we are going to implement registration. At this point, and so let's say, and confirm registration. All right, to do this, we'll start coding now. When writing thought process, you don't need to write everything before you start, but you have to have a base. So generally, we know what we want to do and we know how to start implementing. Welcome people. So think about, how do you welcome someone in C? You use the printf statement, right? We have our lead. Now it's time to go back to our terminal and start coding welcome people and implement registration. Oh yeah, so I'm going to call this my bank.c, and in my bank.c we are going to be welcoming people. So include stdio.h. This is a header file that's going to do the printf scanner for us. So next off, we want to put it in our everything in our main function. We'll talk about functions later on as we build this bank. And the first thing we want to do is so just welcome people. So printf and say, hello, welcome to my bank, right? And maybe a slogan, so banking made easy. Yeah. Um, Maybe we should add with us, banking has been made easy. Now, talking about things that has been made easy, with Bwave ICT, learning tech has been made easy. So there's nothing absolutely stopping you from taking our 6 months course starting from the 5th of June up until December, and after the course you get the chance to intern for the next 6 months working with real life projects. You want to know one of those real life projects you'll be working with after the course? It's this banking app, but you are now going to build it using another programming language, using it so that you can host it live, ask people to go there and even start registering. From there you may just become a bank owner or a bank shareholder. You can share it with your bank and tell them to employ you to manage their banking system. You never can tell. There's no reason why you should miss the course. See you in class. All right, banking has been made easy. Welcome to my bank. And this is a simple message. Now, there's something you should always do. Once you write code, test it. Why? Because you don't want to write very long code before you go and test it. If anything is wrong, you would struggle to figure out where the problem is. But once you write a little code, test it. For example, I'm going to test this code and we are going to see we would have our first error. GCC mybank.c, let's put an output file and call this bank. Let's try to compile this. You can see we already have errors from even this first line. And what's the problem? I deliberately went to put a capital letter P and printf is supposed to be a small letter p. And then we have this small typo error here. One line, but look at the errors we have. Now imagine someone decides to write like 20, 30 lines before testing his code. They will not be able to spot out where the error is. So let's go remove our errors now. Look at this. So I'm going to remove it. And then I'm going to change this to a small letter p. These errors were deliberate, but to show you why it is important to test your code. I hope you just learned something new. With Bwave, every second you're learning something new. And so let's run this now. It says, welcome to my bank. With us, banking has been made easy. But there's supposed to be a new line here, and maybe a new line before this welcome to my bank, right? Just as style. So I'm going to just do that now. And I'm going to put two new lines here. So the first new line would be at the start, and the second new line would be at the end. All right, so we finished with step one, implementing the system. Step two, implementing registration and confirming registration. So now it's time to implement the registration. All right. So to implement the registration, we will need username. And now it's time to tell you another very important thing when writing codes, putting comments. When you are writing any code, you want to put comments. So comments help people to understand what you're doing at each stage of your app. So here we can just say greeting message. Sometimes though, comments could be a little too much and unnecessary, but it is important you put comments. So how would you know when comments is now too much and when you should put comments? This tutorial will teach you, and throughout our 6 months training course, we'll teach you a lot of how to do that. There's no reason why you shouldn't be sending a message now to get the course details and let's see you from on the 5th of June. Because if you don't comment your code, once the person reads 20, 30 lines, he doesn't understand what's going on, he is going to move over to the next project. Commenting is important. Now, these are pro tips, expert tips and tricks that as a beginner, if you start practicing now, the better for you. So what do we want to do here now? We want to create an account. So here we want to create an account, implementing registration. So implementing registration. All right. How are we going to do that? So we are going to put a character and we need some things. So we need like first name and then we need last names. Since they are going to be arrays, we want to probably put this thing. So let's put the character of 50, first name, let's also say 50. And last name would be the same thing here. We've declared it. Now we'll use a simple printf statement to ask for the names. Okay, so I want to say please create an account. Okay, and then we want to have a new line. So in the new line, we say enter your first and last names here. First and last names here. We don't need nicknames, so we want to probably do enter just the first and last names only. After the person does that, we will now store the first and last name. So we use the scanf function. It helps us to store things and percent, and this one is going to be first name and the next one is going to be last name. That being said, what's the next thing? After accounts, what's the next thing? Username and password. So we want to create the password now. So we say char password. At this time, let's set the password to be 20. We don't want the person to put something very difficult. And I'll be creating more variables because we want to confirm password, right? So if password 1 and password 2 are not the same, we want to tell the person, hey, they are not the same. So we'll be confirming our password. That's why I have the second one for val. So, okay, now I'll be creating some other variables and I'm going to explain what they do soon enough. Now, if the person confirms password and the password is not correct, we want to give the person three chance to reconfirm password. And if the person fails in them, then we want to kick the person off, right? And so I'm going to do this now. So let me do this flag variable to track correct password validation. All right. I'm going to explain this later, but for now, let's just ask the user to enter first and enter password and confirm password. So here, create a password. Create a password, after which we want to scan F, and this is also going to be an integer, so %s, and this one would be, we'll set it to pass. I'm going to copy this because after creating a password, the next thing we want to tell the person to confirm password. Confirm password. Okay. And the confirm password will be equal to this one value. So this would help us confirm the password value. All right. What next? So we want to say if. Good. So now let's kind of explain a little. Now, let me explain something. In C, it is impossible to compare two strings together. You can only compare single things together. You can't compare a line of a string, right, together. So for us to be able to compare strings together in C, we would have to borrow a function. And that's why I set a value up there, an integer called value. So this function is going to help us to convert the string to integers. Now, it's not going to do it literally, but it's going to compare what we have between the two strings, and the result of that comparison is going to turn it to an integer for us. So that's why we have int value. The value would be equal to either 0 or 1. So here's what we want to do. If the value, that is, if your password and your compare password, the value of the password is correct, we want to set this value would automatically be 0. That's what the string compare will do. So if the value is 0, then we want to use this password correct that we've done. And we want to set the password correct, password correct. Originally we set it to 0, but we want to set it to 1, right? So, and then we want to break. But to be able to do this effectively, because what we want to do is, if it's not correct, we want to tell the user, okay, it's not correct, but you have another opportunity about 3 times. So this is how we are going to do that. So we say if value, so let's come down here and say if the value, first of all, is not equal to 0. So if the value, I said if it's equal to 0, that means the password are correct. So if it's not equal to 0, it means the passwords are not correct. We want to create a loop then, because we want to repeat the option that they have to test, to re-enter their password, right? So we can do this and say we can use a printf. So we can say printf, a new line, and say your password don't match. Your passwords don't match. Okay, and at this point, we want to tell the person to reconfirm password. So we can put it in a new line too. So if it's not correct, we want to do that. Wait. So the person will have to try again, re-enter password. So let me just copy this. Copy, Control C. You can copy and paste on Ubuntu terminal. Your password don't match. So you want to say try again, re-enter password. Try again, re-enter password. Now, if the person cannot still re-enter his password, then we would have a problem. So why, you can see here I is equal to 3. We set I to be 3 because we want to give the user how many times? 3. So we are setting 0 here. So technically it's 4 times. 0 first time, and then 1, 2, 3. Okay. So why, if the person has not exhausted his chances to re-enter password, want to keep popping out the person to re-enter his password. Now, for each of the time the person re-enter his password, we want to check it using the scanf function if the password is correct. So if the password is correct, then we just want to go ahead to allow the user move on to the next stage of this thing. But if it's not correct, then would have a problem with the user, would ask the user to re-enter until the user exhausts his chances. So here, after scanning it, that is, the user has re-entered password, we'll re-scan it to see if it's correct. If it's correct, then this one would return 0, right? But if it's not still correct, then we want to do this again, all right? So At this point, I can now put my if statement in accordance with what we have here. So let's say if the value, all right. So let me just indent all my lines. Great. Now let's continue. No. So at this point, if the value is equal to 0, we want to say password is correct and it will break out from this loop. Remember, why the person has not exhausted his opportunity of 3 times, right? We want to go ahead to do all of this. So if the password is correct at any time, it will break out of the loop even though this condition is still true. Then what's the next part? Now if I is greater than 0, we want to printf passwords don't match. You have so and so attempts. So passwords don't match. Then let's give the person how many more attempts. You have %d more attempts. And I also explain what we mean by you have %d more attempts. %d, you remember it counts for integers. So let's say I here. Else printf, sorry, you can't create an account. Good. And now let's do some things. I minus minus here. I minus minus. Okay, so let's explain what we have now. Okay, here in our if statement, we are saying if the value, remember I've earlier said that the string compare, this function we are borrowing from a header file, and that reminds me we have to add that header file called string.h. This function we are borrowing is going to compare the value of this password and values. So if the two rhymes, it's going to return 0 for us, right? Otherwise, it's going to return 1. So if the value does not return 0, then we want to do all of this. And what do we want to do? We want to tell the user that your passwords don't match, try again. If the person now tries again and the password is correct, we want to break out of the loop. If it's not correct, we want to now tell the person, hey, passwords don't match, you have so and so more attempts. That is 3 more attempts. Now, if this is not true, so if the user at first try gets his password, then we just want to set the password correct flag to 1. So this same thing that we would do if the user gets the password correct in his second or third attempt. If the user also gets it in his first attempt, then we want to set the password correct flag to 1. And that would pretty much solve our problems here. All right, so let's go ahead now and call the function we are looking for. So we have to include the string.h function in here. And at this point, we want to run our code. Now, I made a mistake. I should have run our code bit by bit rather than wanting to create everything. And now we have something on our hands. We have an error. Can you see it? So here I did print instead of printf. Here I forgot to put my semicolon. So let's go ahead and check it again. Now you want to check where the errors are coming from. 23, line 31, line 19. Those are our lines so far, 23, 31, and 19. And then let's just scroll down and So let's see, what do we have here? Where is our error coming from? So you can see that this is wrong, our if statement here. We have a problem with that. So this is wrong. So if value, we want to put the value inside. So if value is not equal to 0. Now I would show you something else you should normalize doing. When you solve one problem, before moving on to the second problem, first of all, go and check your code. You can see that almost everywhere now, all the errors are gone except this one in line 23 where we said create a password. So I'm going to go there now and look at that place where I did print instead of printf, and you can see it here. Print is supposed to be printf. So I'm going to put the printf. Let's go ahead and check what we have again. No more errors. So we are going to compile this and put it in the my bank. No, we are going to put it in the bank. Yeah, bank. Now let's run bank and see what we have. Okay, so it says, hello, welcome to my bank. With us, banking has been made easy. Please create an account, enter your first and last names, and let's say Bright Bwave. Create a password, let's say 1234. Confirm password 1234, and that's it. So far, this first function of implementing a registration is done. Let's go again. So Bwave ICT, create a password 1234, confirm password, let's do 1235. It says your password don't match, try again, re-enter your password. So 1235. What does it tell us next? You have 3 more attempts. That's that percent the more attempts. Now 1235, you have 2 more attempts. Why is it going down? Because if you notice in our loop, we set the I to minus minus at the end. That is, it should be incrementing from 3 to 2 to 1 to 0. Now let's go again. Let's test our patience. It says you have 1 more attempt. In our final attempt, let's get it right. It ends. What about in your final attempt you didn't get it right? So let's just go create some dummy names. 1, 2, 3, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's just test it. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 3, 3, 4. It says sorry, you can't create an account. So far, our implementation of the registration system is correct. After registration system, what do you want to do? Tell the guy to start banking, start enjoying yourself. So the person will have opportunities to add, deposit, correct code. Alright, so that will take us to our next process, which is everything is so far correct. What is our next step on this one? So let's go and then see our next step. So if the password is correct, now we can do this in our if statement. So if the password is correct, then we want to go ahead to do some certain things. What do we want to go ahead to do? It's time to go back and visit our thought process, because that is where we start creating our codes. So I don't know if you will still remember, and I'm sure you still remember. So what's the biggest thing we want to do? Transfer money, deposit money, check balance, generate receipt. So after step 1 and step 2 is completed, what's the third thing? Ask the user what options they want. So allow user choose what they want to do in the app. And what are the options to choose from? We have 4 options here. So we can say create 4 options for the users, because those are the 4 primary things we want to in fact, there are 3 primary things we want to do: transfer money, deposit money, check balance, and then we'll create the 4 option but this time. So create 4 options for the user, and they will be namely to A, transfer money, transfer money, B, deposit money. Remember that cheaper cash implementation I said I would do? And C, What's the C one? Check balance. Check balance. And D, well, if they want to do nothing, they should quit the program. How does this sound? For me, cool. All right. So is our step three. Now you can see that for each of the step three, you have bigger steps. So we'll now go to the step four. If the user choose transfer money, so the user has four options: transfer, deposit, check balance, or quit the program. These four options. So let's go ahead and first of all create these options for the users. To do that is one very simple something. And for this one I would be doing something. In this bank, we want to be very generous. Most times when you register into bank apps, you get a welcome bonus sort of. Here we are going to give a welcome bonus and I'm feeling very generous right now. So I'm going to give all our users a sum of 50,000 naira as their welcome bonus. So what do we want to do? I'm just going to put a printf statement as a generous person that I am and say, so here let's say printf, this time the password is correct. So let's welcome the user again. You know, people like when you pet them, so I want to welcome them plenty times because they'll be making transactions and would have funds from their transactions. So welcome to instant banking with my bank. Next up, I want to tell the person you have a fixed amount of 50K. Aha, feeling very generous. A fixed amount of 50. What do you want to do with it? Good. So I'm asking the user, what do you want to do with it? I want to create options to the user. I would be looking using a loop again and say why one this time, and we are going to give the user options. So yeah, printf money. So here printf menu. This is a menu for the user to choose what he wants. And let's go ahead and close over. Okay, so what are the options again? Transfer money, deposit money. So let's put them in perspective now. Menu and then say, so A, option A, transfer funds. Okay, B would be to deposit. C would be to check balance. So let's just go copy, paste, copy, paste. Deposit and check balance. Deposit funds and then check balance. Check balance. And D, the last option would be for the user can quit the program. Yeah. So let's make that possible. For the user to say, okay, I don't want to do anything. So quit the program. Quit the program. So option A was transfer funds. It means that B would have to be something different. So this would be D, this would be C, this would be B. All right. As our Y loop, quit the program. Next thing we want to do now is to tell the user to select an option. So select option. This one will just be a very simple one. So the user is going to select an option here so that we know what the user wants. An option. Okay. And then let's say scan F. we want to store whatever the user selects in a simple this thing, and we would call this one option. Now we have to use the ampersand sign to save it in memory. Talking about memory locations. So this would ensure that if the user chooses one option, after he is done with that option, we can ask the user another question. I don't know if you get it. So that's what this Y1 does for us. At any point in this video, you're feeling stuck, you're feeling lost, come back to it. Whatever the user selects will be here in the option. Do you notice something? I have not created a variable called option. So I'm going to go back now because this is the start of our code, creating of the option. I'm going to do this in the int main, in my main function. I'm going to now create char option. Why am I coming up to the main to create it? That's because the whole essence of our bank app starts from here after the registration and the login has been implemented. Next, we gave the user a balance of what? 50,000. Let us store it somewhere. So I'll store this as a balance of 50,000.00. Now, why am I storing it as a balance, a double? That's because it could really get big. The money, whatever transaction the user does could really get big. The user could be making transactions of 2 million. So we don't want to use a float and then it will run out of size. Let's use double to ensure something larger. All right, so the next thing we want to do is to give the user an opportunity to select an option. And that reminds me of something called switch statement in C. So a switch statement is a good way for you to choose options. A switch statement is like an if-else statement, but it uses case. So yeah, let's say case A, that is if the person choose A, want to do the following. So want to put a printf message and say you chose option A. So let's say option A, transfer money, transfer money. Remember, if you're coding on your own, you want to test things out step by step. My guess is as good as yours that if I run this code, I will have problems with one small thing or the other. But here, I'm going to be doing something now. So if the person chooses to transfer money, we need to add code. So here, I'll say add code to transfer money, right? And then after this, I'm going to put something called break. So it will break out of the switch statement. That means the user is done. So this is switch. You have your case A. The next one will be case B. And for that one, so let's say we've broken out of this case. So case B, right? Now, this is the syntax on how to do it. So I want to just copy all of this, paste it here, and add code to deposit money. So the option 2 is deposit. So add code to deposit money. Option A, transfer money. Option B, deposit money. What's the next thing we want to do? Case C. So I'm going to put a case C here, and that case C would be check balance. So here, and after the case C, want to do a case D, and we're also going to paste it. So let me indent my code. 98 lines now indented. Let's go back and see. All right, so you can see all the codes now start making sense. When I was copying, they were misbehaving, and that's how VI does this Ubuntu terminal. All right, let's see now. So for each of these options, option A, B, C, the last one will be to what? Quit the program. So option D, the last option, is to quit the program. Quit the program. And how do I quit the program? Rather than break, I'm going to return 0. So this is going to help it to quit, right? So I can just come here and leave this one. So this is simplest thing, quit the program. That's all. Then default, in case the person comes and start typing things we don't understand, we use a default in the switch statement to say invalid option. Please try again. And instead of the program to end, because we set our variable, that while, I say while equals to 1, because we set that it's not going to end, our code is just going to repeat itself. So our code is going to continue to repeat itself like that, like that. All right, what is missing? Absolutely nothing. So let's say option A, transfer money, option C, check balance. So here we want to write check balance. Add code to check balance. Add code to deposit, add code to transfer. Our switch options are complete. Now you know how to use the switch statement. Do you have any questions? Something is not clear. Rather than keep it to yourself, ask in the comment section. And guess what? What better place to ask your questions than on our live training coming up from 6th of June up until December. Send a message now to get details so that you get taught. So far so good. We can start to check our program and recompile. Okay, so a little changes before we go to compile our code. You want to make sure that in your scanf you have a space here before the %C when you're welcome in this place where we have the menu, right? And so you just want to make sure about that. Then you have your cases A, B, C, and D. Case A is to transfer money, case A deposit, case C check balance, and case D to quit the program. All right, so let's go run our code here. I'm feeling like this is a little too big. Let's take it to 20, shall we? 20, yeah, so 20, very okay. Let's go ahead and compile code. And so let's run it /bank. Okay, it says hello, welcome to my bank. With us, banking has been made easy. Please create an account. So enter first name, right of Bwave, create password. Our password spelling is not correct, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So you should make your password correct. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, immediately we enter and the password is correct. It says, welcome to instant banking with my bank. You have a fixed amount of 50,000. Then you have the menu. You want to transfer funds, deposit, check balance, or quit the program. Let's see what that 1 in the while loop does. So let's say A, it repeats again. By the time we are done with the code though, it will help us transfer fund and then repeat again. But now if I press D, it will quit the program. Why? Because I did not set it to break. I just set case D to return 0 and end my program. All right, so the first part of our code is being done. We are now asking the users to choose what they want. And you remember in our thought process, we said allow the users choose what they want to do. There are other ways we could make this fun. You could put a lot of new lines and make it fine and the rest. But I want to show you something very important in this code. Look at this code critically. Where does our app really start from? The thought process help us get where our app starts. Our app really starts from the place where we are asking the user to choose what he wants to do. But if you look at your screen now, what you're going to see is that we have we have plenty things here, like the greeting message, the create account. The create account is taking too much space here. So look at where the create account starts, right? And look at where it eventually ends here, right? So it ends here. So you can see how many that is. So all of this is the create account function. Imagine we now go and implement the welcome to the transfer funds, deposit funds, check balance, print receipts program, all inside the main function. It's going to make our app long. It's going to really be too long, and we don't want that kind of length. So what do we want to do? Our app is working but we want to make it better. As a software engineer, that should be part of your goal. Making it better every single time. With everything you have, you want to make things better. Even though it's working, there are better ways to do it. So sometimes it's working, but it's not correct because we could do it in a better way. Talking about a better way, let us introduce to you the concept of functions.
The idea of learning tech seems like a very difficult thing to some people. Well, at Bwave, we don't blame them because most of the times tech teachers don't teach. What they do, sit down, give you series of assignment and tasks with lots of conditions and expect that somehow you're going to know it. How? I don't know. At B-Wave, it's not like that. We are here to teach you, guide you, then give you assignments that will teach you even more. And if you don't get it, give you corrections that will help you know even more until you learn it. In that way, learning tech becomes easy for the next 6 months, starting from June 5th till December, and then for a 6 months internship, we are going to be doing this, teach you, guide you, mentor you so that you become a competent software engineer. And guess what? Would be working with companies looking for people locally and internationally so that if you fit into the description after our training, you don't have struggles looking or searching for a job. If this makes sense to you, then send a message now to join our software engineering program starting from June 5th, 2023. Hurry, there's no time, and we don't want you to miss out on this.
But before we do that, we want to make sure we are pushing this work to Git. So most times people feel that the only thing you should push to GitHub is when you're done with your project. No, once you complete small parts, push them to GitHub. So far, what part of our project are we done with? We have implemented registration. So registration is done. What other parts? Asking the user to choose. So we have done the menu too. What part? We want to implement the transfer funds, receive funds, and check balance and print receipts next. Before we do that, let us send our work to GitHub. So how do we do that? We use git add. Now, if you put git add dot, it will take everything to GitHub. But look at this output file. Do we want this one to go to GitHub? No. Why? Why should this one go to GitHub? Only my bank.c should go to GitHub. So I'm going to do git add my bank.c only. Our README file is already on GitHub. So I don't want to like repush it because it's there. So I'm only adding this one. Then I will use the and git commit. So this can help me add and commit in one message. If you have problems on Git, I have a tutorial on GitHub. You want to check it. Part 1 and 2 extensively explains this thing. Git commit. So what are we committing now? We want to say, so what did we do? Registration. So registration and menu. Why is it important to give good commit message? Because it helps people know what you've done. So if you're working with others, only your commit message may be a sign of, okay, this is what you did or this is what you didn't do. After this, we want to git push. So I'm using the and to like join them. You remember conjunction in English language, joining two words together. That's what I'm doing here. And push. So We've pushed everything now. Let's go to our GitHub and check if it's gone already or not. All right, so currently on my GitHub page, and we can see that our bank is done. So we have pushed our work to GitHub now. Why is this important? You're coding along with me. In case you have a problem, what do? You just come to my bank.c, right? You can see the commit message, registration and menu. It was pushed 1 minute ago. In case you have any problems, you just come along and you check it. So you don't have to be looking at, you know, what is that Bwave wrote there? Let me go and check it. No, you just come in here and see it. Now look at only the menu we implemented and the registration. Look at how lengthy our code is. Imagine when we add code to transfer money, deposit money, check balance, it will be very, very lengthy. So we'd have to use functions to start breaking things down. Remember what functions are? Well, the next part of this video would refresh your memories on this. Let's take a 2-second break and we'll be right back.
How does the idea of learning software engineering from world-class software engineering pros feel like? People that are trained by Harvard University, University of People International University, and from Silicon Valley Trained Institution. How does that idea sound? If it sounds good, then make sure you register for Bwave ICT Software Engineering Training coming up from the 5th of June up until December. And then after that, we are giving you 6 months of internship so that by the time you're done, you would have everything you need to become a competent software engineer. Well, the knowledge of software engineering is worth knowing. We want you to know it well because at the end of the day, what matters is that you can prove yourself and not necessarily that you've gotten certificates. In Bwave ICT, we are giving you the proof and we are giving you proof of completion. Certificates from Harvard University recognized all over the world. Don't miss this opportunity. Send a message now to our WhatsApp line and let's get started.